What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for clicking on the link to this podcast and checking us out. This is the Movies That Make You. It's where me and my boys talk through movies. This episode is on the Godzilla and Kong movies, and we had a lot of fun watching these, so excited to share our discussion around it. And hope you're gearing up for Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire that's coming out this weekend. We're excited to go see it as a family. Thanks again, like I said, for clicking the link on the podcast. I would really appreciate if you share the podcast with friends and family, especially those that have kids. We feel like it's important that kids hear kids discussing things they like to hear people their own age. And I think having these discussions with kids is good, and it gives us a chance to make entertainment something that also gives us some more meaningful conversations if we try to. So that's what we try to do here. Again, thanks for listening. Would love a follow on Instagram. And if you want to check out our lists for the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you scream, the movies that make you cheer, that is all found on Letterboxd. And that is at I Am Spraying. So Instagram is at Movies That Make You, and Letterboxd is at I Am Spraying. So without further ado, let's get to the podcast. All right, we're back, and we are ready for another episode for the movies that make you. We're going to say this is the movies that make you cheer, because there's some really awesome, big things to get excited about in these movies. But before we get to that, let's talk about who's here. I am Sprang, and I am Dad.
I'm Connor, and I'm 14.
I'm Jacob, and I'm 13.
I'm Colton, and I'm 11.
I'm Ezekiel, and I'm a kid.
That you are. Very nice. And so, as you saw probably from the title of the film, also, and the description of the title of the podcast and the description of the podcast, we're going to be talking about Godzilla and Kong movies in preparation for Godzilla x Kong: A New Empire. So last week you heard us talk about about Ghostbusters: The Frozen Empire. This week it's Godzilla x Kong, which means in case you didn't know. A new empire, and it looks like from the trailer that they're going to fight some other apes, so pretty cool. But yeah, this is a fun series. Before we jump into each individual movie, let's just give our overall thoughts of the series. Connor, why don't you go first?
I thought it was really good. The graphics were really good, and it's crazy how big they are. Also, whenever they hit through buildings, it looks so good.
Yeah, very cool.
I liked kind of how they had all the action stuff, and then they also brought some good aspects of the story. So there's some romance, and it wasn't just an all-out brawl between King Kong and the people from the island.
I really liked Godzilla and how he was a Sigma, and he technically has a good jawline because he has been mewing.
Colton, what about you? What do you think about the overall series so far?
I like the first movie a lot and the third movie because I like monkeys. I like big monkeys. I like small monkeys. I like middle monkeys. And I like big dragons with 3 heads. Nice.
Very cool. Well, let's so I like the series as well. Just kind of giving some background. It had, when it came out, the first movie that came out was Godzilla. The second movie was Kong Skull Island. Third movie was Godzilla King of Monsters. Fourth movie was Godzilla versus Kong. And so that's the release order. But today we're going to talk about it in kind of chronological order. And that's because Kong Skull Island is going to come first, because it happens during the Vietnam War. The majority of the film happens during the Vietnam War. But as we're going to see kind of in the storyline, there's some things that happened before that. But let's give some details about Kong Skull Island.
So this movie was directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts. Tom Hiddleston plays Captain James Conrad. There's Samuel L. Jackson as the Lieutenant Colonel. There's John Goodman as Bill Randa, and Brie Larson as Mason Weaver. Came out in 2017.
All right, so 2017, we've got a really all-star cast from movies that we've seen before. But yeah, so Kong Skull Island, Who can give me a rundown of kind of where we're at and what's happening at the beginning of the movie to kind of set it up?
At the very start of the movie, there's a scene before like the actual like action happens, and it's U.S. soldier crashes its plane, and a Vietnam soldier crashes their plane,
It's a Japanese soldier, yeah, because it's happening in World War II.
and then they start fighting, and then the Japanese soldier was about to kill the U.S. soldier, but then King Kong came and and it skipped to next.
Yeah, skip to the Vietnam War. So kind of the Vietnam War is ending. Samuel L. Jackson is the head of this group. He's a lieutenant colonel, and they're about to like ship home, and they get orders to work with who?
Americans?
Yeah, Americans. Yeah, and what are they doing? What are they doing?
They believe in such Skull Island and Godzilla and King Kong, and the government gave them funds only because they literally begged.
Mm-hmm.
They were like on their knees. They were like, "Please give us funds." And at the last minute, at the shipping thing, the captain, lieutenant colonel, was like, "Are you sure we want to do this mission on Skull Island?" And then the government said, "Yes."
All right, cool. Yeah,
I don't think they knew about Kong though,
they didn't know about Kong yet. They knew about Skull Island.
but they knew there was like this something radioactive or something happening there, and they were like, maybe I should go check it out. That never ends well, by the way.
Right. So then they basically hire, they get these soldiers to jump in to try and help be their transport and their protection on Skull Island. So John Goodman plays one of the scientists, and they're going to go out there. And what are they going to try and do there? Do you remember?
They're gonna like throw these bombs to scan the surface so they know about the island.
Mm-hmm. And we're trying to figure out if there's hollow Earth theory. So they're trying to figure out if there's some passageway to another part of the Earth that's underneath our crust. They get on the boat, they get on the helicopters, they fly to the island, and what happens when they get there?
They drop bombs, but then there's this big monkey that comes out there and smacks them because he needs to put them in their place. And again, if I was a fat 1 mile feet monkey, I would do the exact same thing because it's fun.
Yeah, so we've got Kong shows up, basically destroying a couple of the helicopters. The group gets separated, and then they got to try and find each other to try to get off the island because they're like, this is not what we signed up for.
I see your point, Colton, but he's not doing it for fun. He's doing it because they are throwing bombs in his home. And it's basically like, I would defend my home if people were just dropping bombs.
Zeke, I said I would do that for fun.
So yeah, so they get separated. They got to try to find their way off the island. What do they come across? What do they come across while they're searching?
An old pilot that landed there, and he was stranded ever since the Second World War, and he led the guys to a group of indigenous people, and they kind of were introduced to the god that they called Kong.
Yeah. So what is Kong in their world? What did we find out about Kong?
They figured out that Kong is nice. Oh my goodness! And they find flying skull pterodactyls.
Yes, flying skull pterodactyls, skull creatures, all this crazy things that are coming up from the ground. So their theories about Hollow Earth might be true.
So they also think that Kong is God and he is an alpha predator. But then in the next movie, Godzilla, we find out that Godzilla is also an alpha predator, so they have an all-out war in Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, that's in a couple movies, but yeah, that's exactly what happens. And so what is Samuel L. Jackson's character trying to do for the rest of the movie after the beginning?
He's trying to kill Kong because Kong beat him in a slap battles competition because he smacked all the helicopters.
Chopper.
And he was really mad because those people are dying. He was like, grr, and then he wanted to kill him by putting like bombs and lighting fires everywhere and stuff, being really mean.
Yeah. So no matter what anybody else in the group said about trying to get off the island, trying to save each other, trying to say, hey, we can leave this place and be safe, he still wanted to go after Kong. What can we learn from that?
First impressions are not everything.
Okay.
Even though how many times he annoys me, I can't hurt him.
What
Yeah. No, annoying sometimes.
Oh.
But so am I. So.
And the theme of the message of this story is you should not live in the past because the past is not the future.
All right. So explain that.
Because this guy's all caught up in what happened like a while ago and not trying to get off the island. That's happening right now.
So what? Yeah, I can jive with that. I think there's another layer to that. What you're saying, because what is holding him back from seeing the future?
Sadness,
And
angriness.
yeah. So if we let our anger and our sadness consume us and control us, then we're what are we missing out on?
Future.
The future. Yeah. So that's something we can learn. Big stuff. And I think there's another movie coming out this summer that we'll talk a little bit more about those types of feelings. Little plug for Inside Out. Boom. All right. So that all kind of happens. They John C. Reilly plays the American fighter pilot that crashed there and has been there for 30 years. And he has this old plane that he's tried to convert into a boat, and he hasn't been able to. So they use it. They ended up fixing it. They end up getting it so they can get off the island using the predetermined design of the helicopters coming back to get them. Cool. All right. Kong actually saves the day from all the monsters. They come up from the earth and protects them so they can get off the island. So kind of a flipping of the role. Like we thought Kong was going to be mean and bad, ends up being he's just a normal, regular nice guy. All right. So let's give it a little bit of a rating out of 5. Connor, why don't you go first?
4.5 out of 5.
4.2 for me.
5.
A 4.258.
All right. And I would give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a really fun movie and really it has a good story to it. Very cool. All right. So let's jump to the next film on our list, and that is Godzilla.
It was directed by Gareth Edwards. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Ford Brody, Elizabeth Olsen as his wife, Juliette Binoche as Sandra Brody, and Bryan Cranston as Joe Brody. It came out in 2014.
Very cool. So let's get a little rundown. What's going on at the beginning of the film? Do you remember, Connor?
Walter White is going to a nuclear plant, and there was a fail or something, and they had to go fix it. But then the gas is everywhere, and then it kills his wife. And then it goes to his kid as an adult, and he's trying to help him. Walter White. Help Walter White.
Yeah, very good. So the son grows up. He's a soldier. He's off duty at the moment. His wife is Elizabeth Olsen. But his dad got arrested because he was in the quarantine zone when he shouldn't have been. And that's what happened after the big bomb. They had to block off this whole territory. It wasn't a bomb, but the accident at the nuclear plant. And so they're blocking off the territory. And then he's found in there, so he's arrested. So son's there to try and help him. And then, stuff happens.
At the nuclear place, they thought it was nuclear, and it wasn't nuclear, and they just take off their masks and everything, and the whole thing just becomes Breaking Bad.
It doesn't become Breaking Bad, but the first part of that was correct. Through the course of the movie, they find out that it's not actually a quarantine zone. It's actually protecting some sort of creature that's in a cocoon that's been hibernating for a long time. So then we get introduced to another character. Ken Watanabe plays another scientist and politician type character that understands these monsters, understands the history of Godzilla, and he knows that Godzilla is here to protect us. And these other big creatures awakening is going to do nothing but wake up Godzilla, and he's going to come and he's going to try and protect the Earth, right? But what's another thing that you liked about Godzilla? What was one of your favorite parts about the movie?
You can swim.
Yeah, he can swim.
I didn't know that.
Pretty crazy.
My favorite part is the beam coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. When it first happened, the first time I saw it, I thought that was pretty amazing. Because it starts, where does it start?
From his tail.
Yeah, we see all the scales start to light up. Oh.
It's like this.
Yes. Good. Best parts about Godzilla, Colton. What's your favorite part about the first movie with Godzilla?
I like how long the movie was because it was a pretty long movie.
Yeah.
And I like the beam coming out of Godzilla's mouth.
Yeah, I think I won't give away my favorite part until y'all are done giving yours, but mine has to do with the tail laser beam. Jacob, what about you?
My favorite part of the movie was probably just like when he finally kills the two monsters. You know, it's kind of like the climax, and that should be like your favorite part. But yeah, I just thought it was like really cool how they animated the deaths.
Yeah. One of the things I did want to mention too is that they're trying to draw the monsters to a spot that Godzilla can fight them by using the nuclear bombs, because the monsters are eating the nuclear warheads. That's what they're attracted to, and so they're trying to lure them to Godzilla, so Godzilla will take them out. In the meantime, Godzilla is destroying all his some cities and stuff like that too. But it was a pretty epic fight for sure. I'm with you, Jacob. What about you, Zeke? What's your favorite part about the first Godzilla movie?
My first part is how I realized they're a dad and they're a mother, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And then I'm like, destroy them all.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. What about you, Connor? You got a favorite part?
I like that at the start whenever they're talking in Japanese because I'm learning in Japanese on Duolingo. 10 out of 10 app. If you want to learn a language, you should definitely do Duolingo.
Love it.
Learning Japanese, and some of the words I can understand. I haven't learned the whole language, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. That's cool. All right, so I got to tell my favorite part. It was definitely related to Colton and Jacob's, but the part that made me like cheer the most was when Godzilla grabs the head of the monster and he opens up her mouth and laser beam right into her face. It's pretty awesome, pretty epic. So let's go ahead and do our ratings. Godzilla, the first Godzilla movie. What do you rate it, Connor?
5.
Cool. Jacob?
I'll give it a 4.7.
All right. Colton?
A 3.5.
Okay. And Zeke?
A 2.
Yeah, I give it a 4 on my rating.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's the first time Zeke has gave anything under a 2 or under a 5.
I know. We're making progress.
No, I did a 4.5.
All right. Cool. So let's move on to the next movie, Godzilla, King of Monsters.
All right, it was directed by Michael Dougherty. Kyle Chandler plays Mark Russell. Vera Farmiga plays Emma Russell. Millie Bobby Brown plays Madison Russell. Ken Watanabe plays Dr. Ishiro Shirazawa. And it was made in 2019.
Nice. So a couple years after Kong, so we had the first movie of 2014 that was released. Then Kong was released in 2017, and now in 2019 we've got Godzilla, King of Monsters. What's the main premise of this one, Colton?
They figured out Godzilla is good and Kong is good. They already knew that, but they found more of these little creatures coming out because before Earth was like all fine, and then humans came, and then it's like getting all crowded. Cities are being made and stuff, and these monsters are coming back to like reclaim the Earth. But Godzilla has to stop all of them, and I really like the monster Hydra with 3 heads.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. So yeah, so we got Ken Watanabe as kind of a repeat character. I think he's the only one that's kind of come from the first Godzilla movie, but he's kind of that constant, kind of showing us he's a part of that. That Monarch is the name of the group. We didn't talk about that, but Monarch is the name of the scientist group that's in Kong and the Godzilla movies. So yeah, so they're trying to they have these other monsters come up. What are some of your favorite parts from that movie?
I like the part where they're soldering the laptop. I don't know how they did that though, because there's no power.
Yeah,
Maybe they used the car. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either.
I really like when Hydra was first like born because everybody was running away, and then he shot a lightning, like Zeus
Mm-hmm.
type stuff, and he just shot lightning at these people, and like everybody was like ah, and then they're fleeing to run away, but most of them didn't make it out alive.
I really think that Hydra is really just an awesome creature, and just kind of like how unforgiving he is. Like I know it's a bad thing to like, but it's just really cool to kind of see that in a three-headed dragon.
For sure. I think that's one of my favorite parts is like I think when he first came out, but it was on like a big ice sea, right? They were like in the Arctic or something, and Godzilla's there, and they know that Godzilla's coming with the sonar, and then Hydra pops up, and there's this huge standoff, and it's like I love those scenes in movies where it's like you got one villain or the villain on one side, you got the hero on the other, and they're like completely separated right before the battle, and then they just kind of go to town. It's pretty epic. What about you, Zeke? What's some of your favorite parts about it?
This is one of my favorite parts. The part where there was the fire dragon. What was its name again? No, not Hydra. The other fire dragon. It came out of a volcano.
I don't remember.
It was the one that Hydra defeated, and then it bit off one of Hydra's limbs, but they made it back. And there's this really cool picture in one of the scenes where Hydra was standing on the top of the mountain, like with all its wings and like yelling. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but and then there was like a cross at the very end.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
The last one of my most favorite parts is where Godzilla where Hydra's like, oh no, wait, no, I have lightning breath, and then Godzilla is about to fire his laser, and I'm like, it's gonna happen, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Pretty epic. Pretty epic battle. So what else, Jacob? What's some other things about the movie that you remember?
I really just remember like the final battle, and then I do remember there were showing like the news, and of course it was fake news, but they were showing like footage of all the alpha beasts popping up, and I thought it was really cool like to see popular tourist attractions get like demolished, like the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I really liked at the very end when all the monsters are coming, and there's like woolly mammoths, dinosaurs, flying monsters and stuff. Well, they're all coming to Godzilla, and he was about to have to fight them all, but then they all kneeled.
So there's this, as far as the humans are concerned, Millie Bobby Brown is the daughter of Vera Farmiga and Chandler. I can't remember his first name. But they're at odds with each other because they lost their son in one of the fights or one of the battles or something. So there's tension and all that there. But she works for Monarch, and she's been trying to help them get things so that they can speak to Godzilla and try and control Godzilla and stuff like that. So that's going on. But Millie Bobby Brown but does a really good job in this film, I thought, kind of setting up being that kind of human person that we can kind of lean on to. Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our ratings. Connor, what do you got for Godzilla King of Monsters?
5.
Nice. Colton?
5.
Jacob?
4.
And Zeke?
5.
Okay. And I think I gave it a 4 as well. I think this is a really fun movie, and definitely worth a watch. As you kind of, especially in this series, it's been fun. All right, last movie we're going to talk about for this episode. It's the one that's the direct predecessor or direct prequel to the movie coming out, Godzilla X Kong. This is Godzilla vs. Kong. Came out in 2021, directed by Adam Wingard, and it stars Alexander Skarsgård is one of the new characters. Rebecca Hall is new. Kaylee Hoddle is new. But then we've got Millie Bobby Brown repeats her role. We've got Brian Tyree Henry, who's amazing. They kind of pair up together, and they're trying to go do something. And then we've got Rebecca Hall, Alexander Skarsgård, Kaylee Hoddle, and their whole group. They're trying to do something as well. So who can kind of set up a little bit about what's going on in Godzilla vs. Kong?
At the very start, there's this like podcast about apex monsters. This guy works at like Monarch or a apex thing, and he puts like a virus or tries to upload something, and
He's trying to download plans to try and take down the company because he knows that they're doing dirty stuff. They're not totally legit. Yeah, for sure. When we also get introduced to another with the Rebecca Hall and the Kaylee Hoddle. Kaylee Hoddle plays a deaf girl that actually can sense Kong's emotions. Remember this? And they actually have Kong in a Skull Island base that's not a real island, but they built it for him to try and protect him. They know that Kong's a threat to Godzilla because Kong's getting bigger, and so then they're going to try to take him to try to see if they can meet and like be like, hey guys, we're good, we're bros, we don't have to fight, right?
also that Kong is an alpha predator and Godzilla is an alpha predator, and there cannot be two alpha predators. And also that there was the cute little deaf girl made a little dolly of King Kong. Yay!
Nice.
I like this part. This is why Godzilla's the best. Because he literally was talking to a girl in sign language. Like,
You mean Kong?
Kong. Whoops, my bad. Kong
okay.
is the best. Godzilla's good, but Kong's still the best.
Yeah, because he was talking in sign language to the deaf girl. Yeah, very cool. Connor, what's one of the parts that you liked about this movie?
Whenever they're fighting on the ships.
Yeah, so they're transporting Kong. He's chained to the ship, and then Godzilla's like coming for him. They were trying to avoid Godzilla, but trying to get him to somewhere safe and to get down into the Skull Island, get to the Hollow Earth part, right? But Godzilla attacks, and then they have to like release him. That was a huge, epic battle. That was amazing.
Did Godzilla just swim away? Or, okay.
I think they knocked, like they fought, like he was. I think he just swam away. I think Godzilla got knocked out or something, and he kind of went away because he's like, I won this fight. You can't stand a chance.
There was this funny scene where Godzilla was standing up on water. Like, I don't know how he was doing it, but he was standing up looking at like Kong, but his feet were underwater, but he could not touch the bottom of the ocean, so he's just standing on water. It's average day in the life of Godzilla.
Yeah, he's Sigma.
He's Riz, alpha male.
Yeah.
Kasanak, come on to my yacht.
I don't know what any of that means. All right, so yeah, Jacob, what about you? What's some parts that you liked about it?
I really thought that was funny, just like the physics of it. But I also kind of liked how in the other fight scene in, was it Tokyo? It was in Tokyo, and just all the lights, and then them just brawling it out, and all these buildings getting destroyed.
Oh,
But there's something else that happens. So we've got the main group that's carrying Godzilla and doing all that stuff. We got the other group that's Millie Bobby Brown and Brian Tyree Henry. They actually journeyed in that kind of through the earth train thing, right? And then they found that they had the skull of Hydra in their base, and they were trying to use it to build stuff. So what ends up? There's one other piece that ends up happening. There's one other thing that ends up happening in this film that ends up being the final fight, and it's not what we thought when we went into the movie.
Mega Godzilla.
That's right. What happens with that? What is that?
So that country what's it called?
Company
Company was really sketchy. They made a Godzilla
There was a guy that had like something attached to his brain,
Mhm.
and that's how it controlled the robot. He had the electric something messed up, and then I think the brain was still working. I don't know.
Yeah, some electric thing happened that he was in it and he was doing it, and then some electric thing happened and took over Godzilla, and he began being self aware.
The guy was being mind controlled in the skull of Hydra.
Right, that's what he was using to control Godzilla. Yeah.
Zeke's right. The Hydra's thing, the head of Hydra was using like Hydra's thoughts. Because it was like since there is in Hydra's head something electric with Hydra's head and Hydra's thoughts and Hydra's plan, something intercourse with this guy's brain, and then
Maybe.
he went crazy.
I don't think any of that. I don't think that's what happened.
Because the
He
electric
passed
was
out.
coming from.
I know he passed out and died. He died.
So Hydra was controlling it.
I don't. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they made that. I think they just were saying the Mecha Godzilla just became Mecha Godzilla on its own because he wasn't connected to anything else anymore. But maybe it was Hydra controlling. I don't know.
We need electricity to survive. And maybe all monsters or alphas and pre-alphas need electricity to survive. It's probably just that Hydra had so much electricity that his thoughts combined with the electricity and his thoughts came into the human's mind.
Maybe so. Maybe so. We got a lot of theories here, folks. So yeah, another part we want to mention before we jump to the very end is that they get Kong to Hollow Earth. They get the entrance to Hollow Earth. They go down in there. What does Kong find while he's down there?
He finds ancestor like realm, and then he finds an axe in there that is made of wood and Godzilla fin.
Yes. So he finds a weapon, and it has like Godzilla's like the laser beam power that comes from his fins. It's also like in the axe too, so he can use it to fend off Godzilla's laser beam, and also use it to power things and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool.
He takes out that basically the axe has like two groups of energy. One is the dangerous energy and one is the safe energy. It takes out all the dangerous energy but combines some of the dangerous energy with the safe energy. And it shoots out the laser beam. It absorbs Godzilla's energy and it basically turns his energy against him.
Interesting. Yeah. That's wild. So then the final battle. Let's jump to the final battle, right? We've got Godzilla fights Kong. Who wins that battle?
I think it was a tie.
It wasn't. Who won the battle between Godzilla and Kong?
Godzilla won.
Godzilla won. Yep. But then what ends up happening?
So Godzilla or Mega Godzilla comes, and then Kong dies, but then comes back to life, and then realizes they have to work together to fight Mega Godzilla, and then Mega Godzilla dies.
Yep. So they end up working together at the end. Pretty epic because Kong lost the battle. He basically submitted to Godzilla saying, okay, you're the alpha. But then once Mechagodzilla is destroying Godzilla, Kong has to come and rescue him. So they realize they need each other. And that's one of the things that they talk about in the trailer for the new movie is Godzilla protects the earth, Kong protects the people, and that's how they kind of can coexist. But these other forces are always going to be that kind of thing that's going to be an issue, and that's where they have to come together in the new movie.
Basically yin and yang, polar opposites, but both needed to survive.
Yeah, good call out. Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into ratings. What do you got, Connor? What do you think? Godzilla vs. Kong.
4.5.
Okay. Colton?
Personally, I'd rate Kong a 10, but I'd give this movie a 4.
4. Okay. Jacob?
4.35.
Okay. And Zeke?
5.
Cool. And I think I rated this one a 3.
Bruh.
I know.
You're
I
not
know,
a critic,
3.
bro.
Father!
And the movie came out in 2021, so I wanted to mention that. I saw it twice in the same day. You want to know why?
And you're still rating it a 3?
I went to the theater to see it, and I fell asleep in the theater. And it was AMC. We're AMC Stubs members, so it's free to go to 3 movies a week. And so I did that, and I kind of fell asleep. So then I came home, and it was on HBO Max the same day. And so I watched it again because I was like, I want to see how it ended, but I just fell asleep. I think I would rate it more this time. I think that was when I first saw it, but watching it in the series, it definitely builds. Each of them build on it, and I think so. What I would say to anybody that's going to watch these movies and maybe gearing up for this is, it's just fun to see these big old monsters fight. It's just like there's some storylines, there's some things, but it's also just like it's fun to see these battles and see these huge things. All right, so I think that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs. Ah!
Thanks everybody for listening to the episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. I know we had fun talking about it, and we're excited to go see the movie. So be sure to make plans to go see Godzilla X Kong this weekend. Looks like a bonkers good time to see those two fight together. It's going to be awesome. Wanted to let you know about a special episode we have dropping this week, a bonus episode on March 31st for the 25th anniversary of The Matrix. This is one of those films that is pinnacle to my film going, but also it really adjusted ways I think about life. And so we're going to dive into it. My pal Wilmer's going to join us again for that discussion. So it'll be me and Wilmer having a discussion about all things to do with The Matrix. We might dive into some of the other films, but I'll try to keep it just focused on the first one for that discussion, and then save the other ones for a later date. But as far as our Monday releases coming up, we got on April 1st, which is April Fool's Day here in America. We are going to be talking about Dumb and Dumber. So a couple of fools in that movie, and we're going to have a blast laughing and talking about that movie. The week after that, the Monday after that, will be Tenet with Jacob and I. We went and saw it last month in a special re-release, so we'll be talking about that and how that movie made Jacob think about things and all that stuff. So it should be fun there. The couple of the Mondays after that, we'll be discussing the movies we've been gearing up for. We're going to do Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and the week after that, we're going to do Godzilla X Kong. So be able to talk through. Those will probably be shorter episodes as we just kind of talk through our reactions to the movie, kind of give it a review and give our rating. So that's the next few weeks, and we hope that you'll, again, keep following us on the podcast channels, wherever you get podcasts, whether it's Apple or Spotify or wherever. And then also follow us on Instagram at Movies That Make You. And then you can also check out our lists on Letterboxd and follow along with us as we watch the movies that we are watching. So that is at I'm Spring. So we'll join you next time. Hope you'll join us next time, and we'll have some more fun. Until then, keep watching movies.